Lightning like Steve McQueen. I'm in the fast lane when the light turns green. And I built tough, I ain't nothing but grit. Cause I made rugged blood, sweat, and spit. Yeah, like a horse I fly. Better push yourself in for a bumpy ride. I like to play hard, but I work harder. And I weather the storm cause I'm built stronger.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Morning Show, the top morning show in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines and, most importantly, provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight. What do I mean by that? I mean, I only speak to transportation professionals on this show, as well as my twice-a-week long-form podcast, you guys, so we can put the right information out there that you can apply, utilize, and see a meaningful difference in your business, in your life. It's one of the many reasons why I proudly fly this American flag behind me every single day. A, we're the greatest nation on earth, but B, I'm living my American dream, and I want to help each and every one of you live yours as well. I got a guest today. We're going to be, he's been on the show a bunch of times before, you guys, and we're going to break some more stuff down and talk about some of the topics, you know, on technology and improving safety and some of the more EV stuff out there and all that fun shit that we talk about day in and day out. But before we go any further, as always, you guys, I got to give a shout out to my friends over at VHub, vhubapp.com. Whether you're a broker, carrier, or a shipper, we all need access to trailers. And we all like making extra money too, right? And that's the best part about with what they have is you get paid to move these on top of the revenue that you can get by loading these trailers out. So they got a bunch of trailers out in Staunton, Wisconsin right now, you guys, needing to get over to Milton, Ontario, and you get $350 US per trailer. And now you can now take advantage of those power only options that come across from your customers, or, you know, drop trailer sales solutions that some of those large enterprise shippers are looking for out there. They also have a bunch of trailers out in San Diego, over 300 of them to be exact. And they go anywhere from $1,100 to $2,200 per trailer. You got some roll-up doors, some standard swing door drive-ins, going everywhere from Texas, North Carolina, Minnesota, Michigan, Arkansas, New Hampshire, Georgia, you name it. And then finally, they got Paragould, Arkansas, going up to Mississauga, Ontario. And there's about 136 of those trailers. You guys need to get $736 US per trailer to move them. So hit them up, you guys, vhubapp.com. My friends, Stacy Steen, Zach Lonergan, they're going to be in the audience. Just do me a favor. Let them know that the Freight Coach sent you. Sonny Sharma, good morning. Let's fucking go. Rob Gleixner, holy shit. What's up, dude? Blast from the past, man. It's been a minute. Tracy St. Clair, good morning. She's watching over on YouTube. Adolfo Rodriguez, buenos dias, señor, ¿cómo estás? Catherine D, she's watching over on YouTube as well, you guys. And I don't know what's been going on over on LinkedIn, but I have heard that it's like the stream isn't coming through. They're not receiving notifications of when I go live and everything. So I just, anybody, if you're listening to this, watch over on YouTube if you want to see this beautiful face every single day, because that's got the best stream, the video and the audio quality. I heard it makes me look more like Brad Pitt on there as well on YouTube. So that's, you know, if you want to see a better version of me over there, that's always cool. But anyways, you guys, I'm going to bring my guest on. You guys know him. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Cam, Valley Trucking Insurance. He's the insurance guy who comes on all the time. So what's up, dude?
What's up? How you doing, brother?
Oh, dude, I'm doing well. I am, you know, it's 150 fucking degrees in Arizona right now. Super warm, but this is also why I live here, man, because I hate 30 below zero like I got back in Wisconsin growing up. So it's like, I'll take this shit, man. It's cool. I'll just go hang outside and, you know, fucking sweat it all out.
I love it. My wife's trying to turn the heat on. I think it was like 65 degrees yesterday, and I think it's great. I love that kind of weather. So go outside, a cool 65. If it hits 70, it's like, that's perfect for me, man. I get into yours, I die. I just sweat down in the desert.
That's our January, and that's what I love, because I get to wear shorts 12 months out of the year. That's the biggest appealing thing for me, is I get to wear shorts 12 months out of the year. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I'm in. Absolutely.
Yeah, dude.
So I put pants on for a couple of reasons. One's like maybe a wedding, my own probably, and then I guess I don't know what else I'd put pants on, but not much.
Oh man, that's fucking great. So, dude, what's new in your world, man? Your Cam is all in insurance, you guys, for brokers and carriers alike. What are you seeing out there right now? Because like I was talking with my friend James yesterday, James Courier with Finlock, and we were talking about financing and how like people are still buying, right? Like people are still coming into this industry, and and it's really talking about that winning mentality where it's like, it doesn't matter what the hell's going on out there, we got to find solutions and stuff. So like, man, you have clients of all sizes out there. Like, what's the sentiment, man? What are you hearing from people?
Yeah, it's been all over the board this last like 6 months. And I think we're through the major lumps where the people were kind of a mass exodus and cancellations coming across, or folks parking the trucks, which that's the beauty of this too, is those owner ops can choose to say, hey, I'm parking right now if they choose, they want to. And a lot of them are starting to come back. Hey, I'm getting up and running again, or I picked up a dedicated lane, or I got a contract or whatever. And in fact, yesterday I just, I wrote and signed on 2 new guys that are lease operators for a client of mine out in Nevada. And so I know they're shaking and baking because they're growing. I've got a lot of companies that are adding trucks and buying trucks and taking advantage, I guess, of maybe some of the inventory that's out there, maybe a little bit cheaper than it has been this last year and a half. So I do see that. And we're getting a ton of traction for certificate requests, insurance verifications, increased coverages. Hey, I got these guys moving this freight that, they need 250K of cargo or $500,000 in cargo. So we're starting to see a lot of that stuff. So I'm still getting new people, new DOT applicants come through. And it's still moving. It slowed a little bit. And I took definitely people took lumps, and it suffered for a minute, and we were losing quite a bit of clients going out of business, which is heartbreaking. Like we've talked about, it's like, guys, just remember the vision, remember the focus, come up with a plan. Now's your time to kind of create your own unique identity and story brand and go out there and push it and slay it. But some of the people just don't know how, I don't think, or, maybe it just wasn't worth it because they had some astronomical note on their truck and trailer and got in on the spot market, made no relationships. Next day they're doing, dry van. Next day they're doing reefer. Now their buddy's doing flatbed. So they hopped over to a flatbed. They're just trying to figure it out, which is unfortunate. So, but that's why you do what you do. That's why I do what I do. I love trying to educate these guys and keep them encouraged and motivated and make introductions.
Yeah, dude. I just think like, and it's always easier to talk about this when you have revenue coming in, right? Like I'm not going to sit here and say that's not, and, just for, again, if you're newer to the show, like I've founded a couple of companies that I'm actively building right now, right? Like I don't have fucking anything figured out. I'm bootstrapping everything. The only thing I know is that I don't know anything, and that I know a lot of what not to do in freight as well. And that's kind of like the premise of the show and everything. But I think that I'm right there with you, man. I personally, and I was talking about this yesterday with James too, is I feel like every day you continue to figure out is a day closer to the market shifting back into your favor, right? Like I feel like I truly believe this. If you've made it this far, you're good, right? Like and that's not to say like you're fucking killing it and everything else, but like if you've made it this, if you figured it out till now, you can continue to figure it out, whether it's another 12 months, 6 months, 18 months, whatever that looks like, you can do it, right? And that's kind of my big thing with all of this right now is it's like, yeah, you know what? It is tough, right? And it's not just our industry. Like the overall, inflation is a real fucking thing. My home expenses are up at least 30%. Overall, like everything is up at least 30% right now. I did the math the other day because I was like, what the fuck? And, again, but it's like, I also was like, all right, well, I figured it out. We make it work, right? Like we're not going out there, opening up, new lines of credit or, taking out a loan or anything like that. But it's like, fuck it. If we made it this far, we can continue to figure it out. And like, I like to call it an optimistic realist, right? Like I'm very aware of the reality of the situation, but I'm also optimistic in the fact that I won't fucking quit, right? Like I won't quit. I will figure it out. And if you figured it out this far, continue to figure it out, continue to push, like let everybody else quit.
Oh, I agree. And I kind of preach that too to these folks, and they're going to be in a really good position once the market shifts, once they've established some relationships. And I'm kind of like obstacle is the way, and like just super optimistic, which I think you have to be as a business owner a little bit and entrepreneur. I could be like on my way home and see a fire and be like, oh my gosh, and just keep going and like, all right, cool. And everyone's like, did you see that fire? You see how horrific that was? It's like, oh no, I didn't even pay attention. Like I kind of just focus on, what's good. I'm grateful for what I have every single day. Every single morning I wake up and kind of count my blessings and then look at what can I do to be better than yesterday. Right. And I just kind of keep that approach and mentality and then look for ways to get better off my failures. Cause that's the only way I learn. I didn't go to school. I didn't get an education. I didn't go get degrees in anything like that. So the only way I can learn, because I'm too naive to learn from your mistakes. I guess I got to make those mistakes, learn, adjust, pivot, and figure it out. And so I just kind of keep moving forward. So
I went to college. I have a couple of slips of paper, and I still do that shit.
Yeah, right.
And ironically, I'm not really seeing the ROI outside of like the accounting courses I probably should have paid more attention to. But it's like if we're also looking at it from a keeping that optimistic point of view is diesel is down to almost like damn near $2 a gallon nationwide right now. So that's a massive cost savings, and, granted it did bump up 2 cents, week over week. It went from 379 to 381, but still that's welcome reprieve out there in the market. And again, back to the whole, like if you've made it this far and you're seeing that, and I'm not saying fuel's cheap. All right. I'm not saying anything other than the fact that it's down and it's trending more in your favor than it's not. So no, dude, I think that we're in a position right now where I like seeing the data that they're like the absolute depletion of carriers in the market hasn't happened. People are seemingly sticking it out. There are people who are leaving. You're not going to but there's people that leave in good markets too at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But you're seeing people sticking it out, and that's what I like the most. Is I'm a fan of the little guy. Like I want to see the little guy win. I want to see this, and I want to see more and more people who are winning kind of like step up and talk about like, hey, this is what I'm doing in these markets to sustain through the ebbs and the flows of these things, right? Because success leaves clues. There's people out here who are winning in this market right now. And that's got to be like the underlying message, I think, for the most part. And it has to come from multiple different people, right? Like it can't just come from one data source or one news source. This is why I go to multiple different news places to break down multiple different articles, and sometimes on the same topic to show different perspectives on things, because there's not one data source out there that is right. Okay. Like there's, when it comes to predicting the economy and predicting everything right now, so it's like it is listening to multiple different opinions from people who've actually done the shit though, and not just like a pretty face, because that's kind of what I am for the most part. But and I'm just kidding. But right. I think that at the end of the day, it is listening to multiple different viewpoints and making the best decision for your business.
Yeah. And we both have friends that'll open their books up and show us, right? And like if they say they're winning, like they'll back it up and show that they're winning, or they'll show what they're doing that's maybe, I don't want to say unique, but in their strategy that's helping them leverage all their assets and all their brokerage and all their relationships, and like take like an average across the board to win, not just one area. A lot of people get focused on the downslope on like one area and one number on the P&L when it's like an average, and it's an average over the year too. So like they just got to kind of zoom out a little bit on that lens and look at the overall scope and picture of things sometimes.
Yeah. Tony does not need Drage Darnell has a question, is that, can you post somewhere a list of canceled and dropped certificates of insurance? Is that something like, as a provider, could you do that, or is there some privacy stuff that comes along with that?
No, not really. And it depends. So if you're just a certificate holder, which most brokerages are, if you get that cert at the point of issue, or like, hey, I'm going to get this load, and you request that updated cert, a lot of times that comes straight from the agent or the insurance company. Those are all good. You won't get notified, however, if that insurance cancels. Now, if you're listed as, let's say, additional interest, which I know some of the contracts ask to be, you'll get notified then, hey, this account canceled for non-pay. But really the big thing is, if their filings are canceled on FMCSA, if this is like an intermodal or interstate type deal, those are all accurate. That's reported straight from the insurance company to FMCSA. So you can be sure that if it posts like, hey, this is pending cancel, this is canceled or has canceled, like that's the truth. Like listen to that, unless they're intrastate. There are some unique things there where they don't have to have that filing, but pay attention there. So no, the answer is no. There's not really a public, hey, this thing canceled, because these things or carriers switch insurance companies frequently. They cancel for non-pay. People get moved at renewal. I mean, there's just too much stuff that happens, I think. So check with the broker or the insurance broker on it.
Yeah, that and, broker carrier users.
Yeah, there's some
have
tools.
all that information. There's some tools out there for you.
Yeah, RMIS, all those companies are good about making sure the insurance is up to date. That's who we get hounded by the most, are those companies. So
yeah, I got you. Louis, what's up, man? Good morning. He says Vegas 388. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Dude, let's break down an article.
Let's do it.
I want to talk. Obviously, I try and choose the articles geared towards the guest in particular here. And this one is from Fleet Owner, and it's talking about safety tech's immense value. Legislators and government agencies continue their focus on regulations. The vital and valuable role that safety and management technologies can play collectively are well known to system and solution providers. In many ways, those companies and their carrier customers are already taking advantage of ways to use their systems to markedly improve safety. Tiffany Gykes, who's a product manager at Loadmaster, a product manager of Loadmaster at McLeod, pointed out the value when carriers can see how operational data correlates with safety, including information from third-party tech vendors. By having the TMS and safety data linked, there's an ability to determine potential safety risks. If the two data elements are not aggregated, it is easy to overlook potentially negative impacts on the safety of the fleet. For example, she noted TMS provider's safety module allows carriers to see how the risk of a safety incident drastically increases across something like a lane that runs through a mountain range. And then that can allow carriers to have more candid conversations with shippers on how certain lanes need to be evaluated different for safety concerns. Motor carriers who maintain safety records in their TMS have an easy way to review their safety progress in many different areas. And that came from Robert Brothers, who's a VP over at McLeod. They can use this data during insurance renewal negotiations and the basis for their safety culture in court cases and to help reduce fines and violations. Let's talk about that, Cam. I want to talk about how you can negotiate with an insurance rep on how to get a lower premium.
It's funny because nothing they're saying here is new or groundbreaking. And I'm kind of torn on, when you get entities involved in regulations and implementation of the technologies where they're going to start requiring certain things. It's like they're just tools. And if the companies don't take the tools, read and analyze the data, and then relay it back into their safety program or the training or the education, it's just that it doesn't do anything, right? So what we've done, to their credit and point, is yes, you can actually use stats and statistics and technology to negotiate your insurance renewals. Because if you're operating at better than average, let's say, or better than best in class, let's say, and you got the stats and the backing to do it, you shouldn't be paying the same rate as the dude that is crashing all the time or having incidents all the time or near misses all the time. So you can take a lot of that, and that's what we actually do. Is we have some tools and we've got like some quarterly game plans that will come in, review analytics, review an analysis, look at their ISS, look at the out of service, look at trends, look at trucks, look at their vehicle maintenance program, and put all that stuff together for a narrative to the insurance company to say, look, here's what we've done, here's what we've worked on, here's what they've worked really hard at doing. We go on site, we can prove all this, plus all the statistics will back it up. We think we deserve to, get a better rate because of this. And a lot of times it will work that way. If I have a good relationship with the underwriter, the insurance company, and my customer or potential customer, and I could say, look, I've worked with them for a year. They're not even my client, and I've still worked with them for a year, but here's what we've been able to do. Like, we should take these guys onto this program or get these guys onto this better insurance program. And a lot of times it'll work that way, and it works in our favor. So yeah, there's some truth to that.
So like when you're getting established, right? Because I feel like, I don't know, I don't even know if this was like a real thing. Like you always told when you're younger, like, hey, when you turn 25, your insurance premium drops.
Your parents just told you that? Yeah.
Yeah, fucking parents. Anyways, but like what? Because it's like, I think going in, like if because again, we were talking about new entrants into the industry and like the fact that there's plenty of drivers that are in the industry right now who have only been in this for a year or, they're coming up on their renewal and everything here. What is something that they could do to like kind of prove like a lot of this stuff, because not everybody has data. Not everybody has the resources, to have a TMS or something tracking all of this stuff. So it's like, what can they do? What can the little guy do to like bring to you or their insurance provider that says, hey, this is my track record. This is where it is, because like they're always trying to stand out, right? Like they're always looking for that addition. And because like, again, they're also looking, like maybe they have a shipper who's like, hey, you know what? We need X to be proven to us, so then we can get you set up as a direct carrier for us. Like, how can they work with their insurance agent from that?
I think a lot has to come from the stance of themselves, is create the business plan, right? Create some goals, create some benchmarks, and know that, you can, there's a difference here. Like, you can come into this industry as an owner op and say, look, I'm going to stay an owner op. Maybe I'll add a truck or two in the next 5 years. Or I've got some accounts that came in, a little bit of a unique background, but they came in, they started with, let's say, 8 trucks. And then the first year we scaled to 20 trucks.
Yeah.
Obviously there's differences there, and there's like supporting documentation, there's supporting management, there's supporting resume, there's like technology investment, safe, like, so, but the small guy, let's just focus on that, coming in, they're going to have to know, well, 2 things. One, make sure that they find the right insurance broker, an independent agent, preferably, that has options, right? You don't get a discount for going direct to some of these companies. They get the same rate that I would get. And in fact, a lot of the times when you call around, especially these new guys, they're going to talk to the same 3 insurance companies and they're going to get 12 different rates. And they're going to wonder why. Well, this guy was able to get me a good deal. The only reason you get a different deal is a couple of reasons. Is one, you gave them different information to plug in. The agent or whoever plugged or keyed in this information didn't include all the info, or they didn't ask all the questions or really truly understand what you're doing. So then that'll kind of dictate that rate. So find someone you trust. Make sure that you get like a good independent agent that has options and that comes to you with a plan to say, hey, we're going to start here. It's going to be expensive. I'm not going to lie. I do have some programs that will take into account prior experience. So if they've got 2 years CDL working under somebody else, I actually have programs that'll take that into consideration and not treat you like a new guy. There are some stipulations there. You can't just come in and start adding trucks and growing. Like, you'll have to stay like an owner out for a year. Great. Okay, now we can add another truck and an employee next year. Great. After that, let's add 1 a quarter. But it shows like a steady plan and a growth plan for that new guy. And I think talking to these new folks about what their goals are, why they got into this on their own, understand what their aspirations are, and like what they hope to achieve in, let's say, the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, that helps me develop a game plan of where I need to put them. And then to be real with them or honest and say, look, you want to scale, you want to do this a little bit quicker than companies are going to be comfortable with, you're going to pay a little bit more right now. But if we do everything we're supposed to do with safety, the out of service, the driver hiring, the leadership, like all these different things we're going to work on, once you hit, let's say, that 3rd, 4th, 5th year mark, you're going to be paying significantly less than the guy that just went in and now has out of service running wild. Their ISS score is super high. They're on an inspect every time they hit a scale, the stuff that the brokers look at, right? And they're not going to get as good a freight there because on paper and all these tools that now can see the performance, they're going to look like not a good company. But if they're kind of best in class, super low, prime example, and when we're both friends with them, I know he wouldn't care, but like our boys over at Origin, they were relatively young when they came to me, and we've scaled them to a respectable size, and we've done a very good job. And on paper, they're, in my opinion, best in class. Like, they're phenomenal operators.
Yeah. And I think that, because with technology coming out there, because, I want to look at it as like, what can carriers do to stand out, right? Like, what is it that they can do to stand out to get more freight? Because they're like, with technology, there's a lot of good with it, but then there's some also, I don't want to say bad, but there's, there are some stuff that like works against you when you're a new business, right? Like, dude, I mean, here's straight up, this is some struggles I've went through in my companies, right? When you're young, you don't have business credit, right? Like, you're a very high risk to a lot of these things. So they're not going to give you the most favorable terms, or you're going to have to put a personal guarantee out there where it's like, fortunately I don't have my house fucking leveraged or anything like that. But there are certain situations where it's like, man, you go into business for yourself. It sounds great. But you got to put a lot of personal guarantee or a lot of personal money out there because you don't have business credit. You haven't established it. You don't have a track record of success in business. And, it's funny. It's like, going with, when I first started trying to get like my first business credit card, right? Like I had to put a personal guarantee associated with it. Now they keep fucking throwing money at me because I pay my motherfucking bills every single month. But again, it's like, it's taking that information and how do I stand out to brokers out there? If I've been only in business for 3 months or 6 months or 9, whatever that looks like, how do I stand out to brokers to get more business from them? Because there's stuff out there that's detrimental to the success of the carriers. And a lot of it is of no fault to them outside of the fact that you're new in business. And this is a struggle that whether you're a broker, a carrier, or you're a CPG company that's starting off, everyone experiences this, but it's like, what can they do from a track record perspective to stand out?
Well, and I think the key is so a couple of things there is there are some technologies, if they have the ability to do it, that can be transparent in the loads being moved, right? So if the broker or you're the broker, you can see the truck and exactly where it is on the route without having to talk to them. How nice is that for you? Because you're like, all right, cool. I know that load's moving. It's going to get where it's at. It got where it needed to go. I'm not worried about that anymore. And I know there's some technologies there for like relaying locations and stuff. But the other piece to that is I think have a specialty or a niche, right? You're not a jack of all trades. You're not a master of everything. So what do you do really, really well? And what do you have experience in? And what can you differentiate yourself? You take that, you build your story, you come up with the game plan, the business. I think invest even in a little bit of marketing, a website, and putting that out there. So when people look at you, at your company, it's like, oh, this person does this. That's what they do. And then the last piece is like you and I have chatted about is pick up the fucking phone and call. Start doing some sales calls and then talking to whoever you need to. Find who that person is that's shipping the freight you want and call them and say, look, just do a sales call. And hey, give me a shot. Just give me one shot. And I'll even take a little bit less on this. Or like, if you need something moved right now, I'm your guy. And then you start doing that a few times. And then that's how you start to get into like a dedicated lane or a contracted freight or something like that. That's how the little guys, I think, can make it in the beginning and stand out a little bit, right? It's tough though. And you got to be on top of the vehicle maintenance. So all this comes back to a business plan and having like discipline. So are you setting money aside or are you out buying some new 20-inch spinners for your car at home, right? When you got your first paycheck? Or
are spinners still a thing, or is that just a
I don't know, but I was a flashback to the 90s though.
Are they
I
still
love
big
it.
in Spokane
I
or
love
what?
it. They're still spinning, bro. They're still spinning. But and I think it's just being disciplined on that, right? And so like staying on top of the vehicle maintenance, understanding how important these out of service or near out of service, or actually what's even worse is getting a warning, because that shit goes on your record and you can't dispute that in the data queue versus like actually getting issued that citation. And just making sure that your truck's clean, making sure you do your pre-trip stuff, making sure that if you are going to hire, you have a system in place and like a set of rules of like, we're going to do a pre-drive, we're going to do the background check, a PSP. I'm going to have some rules in place where like, hey, you know what? I know this is like a sensitive topic, but like they're going to have 2 years of CDL experience before I hire them.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lot of people don't like that, but let's be real. Like when you were 18 and if you were behind a big rig, dude, I was crashing cars at that age, like let alone a big rig. So, you know what I mean? So there are some like sensitive things there, but I think just have a good solid business plan and a game plan to back it up. And then if you can get with someone you trust that has like a roadmap for you to get from point A, whether it's, Progressive or one of these big insurance companies, to like, let's say a dedicated program that you get a little bit better insurance rates, talk to somebody about that. Like whoever you're working with should be talking to you, not just giving you that best price. Because the best price, in my opinion, if you're just shopping around, I want people to do their due diligence, but I think it leaves the door open for agents to not have your best interest in mind and just give you the cheapest rate to try to earn your commission check, right? Yeah. In my opinion, that's the hardest thing. And I get it, because people are trying to save money. They're starting a business that they're starving. They might not be able to afford what the entry cost of insurance, because it could be 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand, depending on where you live in this country for a new truck for insurance. I mean, it's across the board. It's wild. So
dude, that's insane. That's a lot. And that's also like You guys, there's a lot of valuable information in this article, but a lot of it is more geared obviously towards the technology aspect of things. So I wanted to touch on technology, but I also wanted to touch about, for the people out there that don't have the technology or can't invest in that and what they can do to really stand out. And it's like, and then furthermore, brokers, if you're working with a solid carrier who's in that probationary period, you can call it, do what you can to fucking scream their names from a mountaintop to get them more business, right? Or utilize them more and more. Like I'll shameless plug myself again with broker carrier, and we're doing a lot behind the scenes right now in our next rollout to help the carriers, like help them out from a tech standpoint. And we'll be announcing more of that stuff soon from it, because it's like, I can't stand seeing people who are just trying to fucking make it work get railroaded to not have opportunities, and they literally are doing the right thing, right? But that article, you guys, fleetowner.com, safety techs, immense value. I'll put that link over there on YouTube, as well as the Coffee with the Freight Coach audio only replay of it, which is going to be on iTunes and Spotify. But as always, Cam, how can anybody reach out to you, Valley Trucking Insurance, or anything like that to find out more?
You can follow up on LinkedIn, valleytruckinginsurance.com. Shoot me an email, Cameron@valleytruckinginsurance.com, and I'm happy to chat.
Perfect. Well, hey, that's going to be it for today, you guys. We'll be back tomorrow, the Freight Coach Morning Show. And then Friday is Q&A. Every single Friday is Q&A. So if you have any of those Qs that you want aid on the show on Friday, drop them in my DMs. And I'll answer them live on the show. But otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And we'll be talking to you soon.